Every legend begins with a spark of truth. In Greenbrier, that spark was gold, and it burned through everyone who went looking for it. A blacksmith vanished into the Appalachian wilderness with pockets full of gold, and when they went searching, the mountains swallowed them too. The year was 1866. The war had left the land weary, ash settling on cabins, men missing, hearts broken. Yet deep in the Greenbrier Cove of the Smoky Mountains, there lived a man whose hammer never stopped singing. Perry Shults, blacksmith, tinkerer, dreamer. He was not rich nor famous, but he possessed a curious trait. He listened to the hiss of water over stone, the rustle of wind through hemlock trees, the whispers of the mountain itself. And one spring morning, the mountain whispered back. While foraging near an abandoned Cherokee trail, he noticed the glint, not of dew, but of gold. Tiny flecks embedded in the dark rock of a creek bed. It was as if the earth blinked at him, daring him to look closer. He crouched, rubbed the mud away, and his breath caught. There it was, the color of sunlight made solid. Perry Shults told no one, not his wife, not his neighbors. He returned to the forge, but the fire that burned in him now was wilder than any he'd ever stoked. He started making unusual trips into the hills, sometimes gone for days, returning with dust on his clothes and a strange gleam in his eye. When asked where he'd been, he only smiled and said, listening to the mountain. Soon, coins began to circulate around Sevier County, crude, thick, and hand-pressed. Some said Shults had taken to minting his own currency. Others whispered that he'd found a Confederate cache. But a few, those who had seen the veins of quartz and pyrite that threaded through the Smokies, knew what it meant. Perry Shults had found a gold mine, and like all who taste the mountain's hidden riches, he would never be the same again. Perry Shults began working in silence. He built a small shack deep in the hills, at the end of a trail that twisted like a serpent. He changed his path each time, covering his tracks with fallen branches and false markers. He told the townsfolk he was collecting iron or samples, but no blacksmith ever looked so haunted. By night, lantern light flickered from behind the trees, and the sound of his pickaxe echoed faintly down the ridges. He had found a vein that bled gold, thin, pure, alive. He chipped away in secret, his hands trembling each time another golden vein shimmered beneath his hammer. He stored his findings in a hollowed-out stump, wrapped in waxed cloth. He minted small coins from them, crude at first, then elegant, bearing symbols that no one recognized. Some said he was creating a new form of currency. Others claimed he was fulfilling a promise to someone long dead. Either way, his obsession deepened. The man who once forged horseshoes now forged mystery. As weeks turned to months, neighbors noticed his voice growing quieter, his laughter rarer. Children whispered that they saw him talking to trees. Hunters said they saw him dragging sacks heavier than any man could lift. Then one day, a man followed him, a young miner named Tom Reed. Reed trailed him through the hollows, silent as shadow. But at a bend in the ridge, the forest itself seemed to shift. When Reed looked again, Shults was gone, as if the mountain had swallowed him whole. Reed returned pale and shaking, swearing he'd seen a glowing figure vanish into stone. By autumn, the rumors were legend. Perry Shults, the man who spoke to mountains, had found a living river of gold and hidden it where no man could find it again. Gold never keeps a secret for long. By 1868, word had reached Knoxville and beyond. There was a mine somewhere in the Smokies, rich enough to buy a kingdom. Men came with shovels, with maps, with greed in their eyes. They called themselves the Greenbrier Company. They begged Shults to show them the site. He refused, smiling politely, his eyes tired. "The mountain gave it to me," he said. "It decides who keeps it." They thought him mad until they saw the coins. One investor held one up to the light and saw the unmistakable shimmer of raw mountain gold. It was real. It was there. And from that moment, the Smoky Mountains became a battlefield of secrets. Men cut trails through virgin forest, blasted rock faces, and even accused Shults of witchcraft. He was threatened, bribed, followed, but he never revealed the path. "You'll find it when it wants to be found," he told them. "And if you force it, it'll bury you instead." Then came the storms. 3 prospectors were caught in a flash flood near Porter's Creek. 2 drowned. The 3rd emerged muttering that the water ran yellow. Another vanished into a sinkhole near the ridge. One by one, the seekers turned back, convinced the land itself was cursed. By 1870, Perry Shults withdrew completely. His forge fell cold. The sound of hammer on anvil was replaced by silence. People said he was guarding his secret from thieves. Others said the mountain had taken its payment, his soul. When he finally died, the town buried him on a hill overlooking Greenbrier Cove. They found no gold in his cabin, only a small iron key hanging from a nail above his bed. No one ever discovered what it unlocked. Years turned to decades. Forests reclaimed the mining trails. The Great Smoky Mountains became a national park, and Shults' name slipped from memory until a young ranger named Clara Maddox arrived in 1933. She had read an old newspaper clipping about Shults' lost gold and became obsessed. On weekends, she hiked alone into the backcountry, following faint hints: a rusted horseshoe, a broken lantern, a mound of stones shaped like a cairn. Locals warned her that some places in the Smokies were better left unvisited. "There's a hum in them hills," an old trapper told her. "That's Shults' ghost, still diggin'." Clara laughed, but one autumn dusk, as the light dimmed, she heard it. A faint rhythmic sound, echoing like a pick striking rock. She followed it deeper, until she reached a cave mouth sealed by a fallen pine. Inside, the air shimmered strangely warm. On the cave wall, she saw markings, not English, but crude symbols matching those stamped on the old Shults coins. Then she saw something else, a small iron keyhole rusted into the rock itself. Her heart thundered. She reached into her pack, pulled out the replica key she'd made based on the sketches, and inserted it. The rock gave a sound like a sigh. The ground trembled. The cave filled with the scent of metal and dust. And then silence. When Clara stumbled out, hours later, she held a single golden coin, newly polished, warm to the touch. She never told anyone what she saw inside. She left the ranger service, moved west, and vanished from records. But that coin surfaced again years later in a collector's auction, its inscription unreadable. but its makers mark clear. P.S. Today, hikers still wander the Greenbrier trails, breathing the mist that curls between the ridges. They walk unaware that every stone beneath their feet might be part of a story, a promise, a curse, or both. Modern treasure hunters use metal detectors and ground scanners. They've found traces, iron spikes, smelted slag, the remnants of an old blacksmith's forge, but never the mine itself. Some say the National Park Service quietly sealed it off to prevent danger. Others believe it simply moved, the mountain folding over it, like a secret kept too long. Locals tell stories by the firelight. They say that on moonless nights, a glow appears near Porter's Creek, not from lantern or lightning, but from within the rock itself. And if you listen closely, you can hear the faint clang of a hammer striking gold. Maybe it's the ghost of Perry Shults, still forging in silence. Maybe it's the mountain reminding mankind that greed has consequences. Or maybe, just maybe, the gold still lies waiting, patient as the hills themselves. For those who seek it, beware. The Smokies do not give without taking. The same earth that hid Shults' fortune also swallowed the man. He wanted to listen to the mountain, and in the end, it listened to him. Somewhere beneath the pines, beyond the moss-covered stones and echoing streams, the mountain keeps its own glittering, eternal, unseen.